Alright guys, so let's start End of Empires. So we are picking up in 1945 after World War II. So, first things first, India is where we're going to start, so I write the title of India. So, India is where we're going to start. Home rule for India means Indians want to rule Indians. Who is currently controlling India? Max. Britain. So, what we're starting to see is there's going to be a huge Muslim separatist movement. They want to be separate. What country do they want to create? What country do they want to create, Jack? Palestine. What country do they want to create? Not Palestine. Palestine's done with Jews, not Muslims.
Pakistan.
Pakistan, there you go. They want to create Pakistan, and we have this whole issue between being independent and being separate. So, the day of direct action is when Hindus are going to kill large amounts of Muslims in the city of Calcutta. Now, this is a big thing for one reason. The tension between Muslims and Indians have been rising since the Indian Congressional, where the whole idea of separating the two countries into two separate things was rising. However, this is going to be the final straw for a lot of Indians. What's going to happen is the Hindus are going to murder about 125 Muslims in cold blood in the middle of the streets. And for a lot of Muslims, that's too fearful to be looking over your back all the time. Can we agree? So this is going to really separate the whole country into pro-unity versus pro-separatist. Who's going to win? Separatists. I would think if all of a sudden, people from the state of Georgia came into Florida and started killing a bunch of Floridians and saying that we want you all to die, we'd want to be separate from Georgia too. Can we agree? So that's why the Muslims are going to have a rule. Now, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, which you have heard his name before, correct? Who does he directly oppose? Who is his opposite, Isabel? Gandhi. Muhammad Ali Jinnah is going to fully have the full attention of all of India, and he is going to lead them into the state of Pakistan. He's going to use the killing of Calcutta to justify the separatist movement, and he's going to do it with the help of Nehru. I don't know how to go with that first name. They're going to build a partition in 1947 with the cost of 500,000 lives. Okay? Obviously, do you think people in India want to lose that territory? No, so people in India don't want to lose that territory. That territory was technically Indian beforehand, so there's going to be a lot of civil war there. There's going to be about 10 million refugees caused by it, because all of the Hindus that are in this territory are going to be kicked out. All of the Muslims who are leaving India to go to Pakistan are going to be struggling to get there. It's going to be a huge transition. So in 1947, the partition of Pakistan and India is going to be built, and it's going to go into a non-alignment movement of the third path, which means two separate countries. All right, so Vietnam is where I put the next heading. Vietnam is going to have a lot of things going on. Try this again. Vietnam is controlled by the French. Now, the French are going to be a little bit distracted. You can raise your hand and tell me why the French are a little distracted right now. Why? Dean? This is post-World War II. What's going on post-World War II with all these countries? Isabel?
They're trying to rebuild their country.
Absolutely. What don't they have a lot of?
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure. Money. They don't have a lot of money. Is their military a little exhausted at this point? So if you are a non-industrialized country, this is kind of the perfect time to rebel. Yes? Okay. Also, what idea is simmering around the world and catching people's interest? That one big country is going around and saying, hey, if you do this, we'll help you. What is it? Max?
Revolution.
Yeah, but what type of revolutions? Communism is starting to catch on and stuff like that. So the French are going to be a little bit distracted. So a guy named Ho Chi Minh, who you absolutely need to know his name, is going to lead a communist revolution using guerrilla warfare. Who can tell me what guerrilla warfare is? What is guerrilla warfare? Sophia? Guerrilla warfare? The United States in the American Revolution did it first. Well, we've seen it. It happens in Iraq and Afghanistan today. Oh my gosh. What is guerrilla warfare? Aiden.
Smaller force fights a larger one through skirmishing and ambush tactics.
Okay, ambush tactics. So what does that mean? Simplify.
They hide, wait for them to come by, shoot at them.
And then run away. Blend right back into the crowd. Okay, that's guerrilla tactics. Is it successful? It is incredibly successful. Is it the most annoying way to fight a war? Absolutely. So what we're going to see is that they're going to do it. Eventually, United States gets involved under President Lyndon B. Johnson is going to put boots on the ground in Vietnam. And it's going to be a fight versus communists versus capitalism. It's going to be the closest the Russians and the United States directly fight against each other. And it's eventually going to be settled on the 17th parallel, a straight up division. Okay? Alright, we're ready? So, Palestine. Write down your next title is Palestine and Israel. That's what would be my heading if I was you. Palestine and Israel would be my heading. After World War II, the Arab states increasingly gained independence from what system? Who can tell me what system was in place in between World War I to the end of World War II? To the victors go the spoils. What is it, Lauren? Starts with an M. And Middle East is divided between all of your European countries. What is that system called? In between world. Yes, the mandate system. So all of your Arab nations want freedom from the mandate system. They're tired of colonial rule. They want them gone. So Palestine is going to be controlled by Great Britain at this point. The Palestinians want Great Britain gone. Okay? Now, in 1917, Jews from around the world signed this document called the Balfour Declaration. In 1917, that is post-World War I. Okay, well, it's in the middle of World War I, actually. And they signed this thing of wanting to have their own country. Okay? The Balfour Declaration is the first step to creating the Israeli state. The Jews write this and sign it from all around the world in 1917. Okay? So after World War II, the Jewish refugees are just showing up in Palestine. Why are they showing up in Palestine, Jessica? Historically, why are they showing up in Palestine?
Oh, because that's kind of where it all started.
What does that mean?
Like
That's where the
religion.
party started it? That's where, you know,
But they
what?
found refugees like in the beginning, where their religion started.
Period 1, that's where their homeland is. What is it called when they're kicked out of their homeland, Jessica? Diaspora, very nice. Look at that throwback. Isn't this nice? It's full circle. So we started the year talking about Jews getting kicked out. Now we're talking about Jews coming back. All right, so 1917, we signed the Balfour Declaration, which gets them absolutely nothing. After World War II, they're called Jewish refugees. Why are they called Jewish refugees in 1945? Wait for these things. Why are we calling them Jewish refugees, Max?
Because they're trying to escape the Holocaust.
No, 1945, the whole war's over. Why do we call them refugees, Lauren?
I was gonna say I
Isabella?
feel like all their homes were destroyed and they lost pretty much everything if they were living in Europe.
Yes! So, okay, so if you're a Jew from Germany and you were picked up and you miraculously survived the Holocaust, do you want to head right back to Germany? No. Do you want to head back to France where they completely destroyed the Jews there? Where there's no Jewish community left? So all of a sudden, all these Jews are wandering around being like, where the hell are we going to go? And someone's like, let's go to Israel. And they're like, well, I don't want to be here anymore. Let's go. So England has the Palestinians wanting freedom and has a bunch of Jews showing up all the time. Is this a problem? That's a huge problem. So this is going to cause a ton of tension. We also, because these Jews keep showing up talking about creating this new state of Israel, we're going to have the Pan-Arab nationalistic movement. What is a Pan-Arab nationalism, Maya? What does that mean? What's Pan-Arab? Let's start there.
They're like, I don't know, really strong nationalists.
Nope. Start with Pan. What does Pan-Arab mean? What does Pan-Arab mean, Isabella?
All the Arabs.
All the Arab countries. So what would be examples of them?
Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan.
Yeah, all those like super heavy Muslim countries. So all of those Pan-Arab nationalism. What is nationalism, Maya?
Like extreme, like patriotism within their country.
So Pan-Arab nationalism, deep devotion to their country, their culture, their ethnicity, is going to start opposing a Jewish state. So you're going to have all of this pressure building. So England is kind of caught in the middle because A, they pushed themselves there. So what we're going to see is that there's so much going on with a ton of Jews showing up every single day. This Pan-Arab nationalism, the Palestinians wanting their independence. There's three major things going on. So England says, I quit. UN figure it out. And they leave. They just throw up their hands. They're like, all right, we're done. So England hands Palestine to the United Nations. The United Nations makes the decision, and that's important for you to understand. It is not the British who decide. It's not the Americans who decide. It is the United Nations decide. However, when the United Nations decides to put a partition in 1947 to create the State of Israel, what country is the largest country defending that border, Max?
Egypt.
What country is the largest country defending the border, Max, of Israel? It's the same one today.
Palestine.
No, why would Palestine protect the border of Israel? The United States, ladies and gentlemen. The United States is a huge champion of Israel up until President Trump, and he's been shaking on the line. All right, so Jewish and Arab pressure drives British to hand over Palestinians to the United Nations. There's a partition plan in 1947. It's implemented in 1948. In 1948, the Israeli state is created. Okay? Now, please listen to me. Stop for 2 seconds. I'm going to tell you the feelings. You have to make a decision because this is a big issue still today. Okay. Jews, original homeland is where Israel is today, correct? Okay, they got kicked out in halfway through period 1, and they started roaming around the world. I think we can agree things did not go well for them in period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, after World War II, they say, you know what, screw it, we're going back to our homeland, we're going to protect our own. So they get the Israeli state created by the United Nations. Okay, they get their borders, we protect their borders. They have a home for the first time. Their home was stolen from them in period 1. Now they have their homeland. I think after the Holocaust, I think we can all agree there was a lot of European guilt, yes? Saying like, how could we have allowed this to happen? Why didn't we stop this? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We swear we'll never let this happen again. And here's your state. So Israel currently has it. Israel is currently defending their borders and will do whatever it takes to protect their Israeli state. That's the Israeli perspective. The Palestinian perspective. Now, the Palestinians have direct heritage to the people who have replaced the Jews in Palestine or in this corner of the Mediterranean Sea. Their families and generations have been there for hundreds and hundreds, for centuries. They've been there, cultivating the land, building the cities, cultivating culture, identities, food, language, everything has been there, okay? They were taken over by the British, okay, during the Mandate system. They were forced into a system they didn't want, okay? After World War II, because of the guilt of the English, they lose land. They lose territory. Now, do you think the Israelis are taking the crappiest pieces of land or the best pieces of land? The best pieces of land. They're getting the best farmland. They're getting the freshest and largest rivers going through their land. They're also getting a ton of real estate right along the Mediterranean Sea, which is going to be a major trading capital. They're also getting Jerusalem, yes, which is a major religious city for 3 major religions, including Islam. So Palestinians have been there for centuries on top of centuries on top of centuries. Their families have been living there for centuries on top of centuries. And then all of a sudden in 1947, because of European guilt, they're getting told they have to leave and go somewhere else because of the Jews. because they were mistreated by the Europeans, not because of the Muslims, and because they lived there in period 1 and we're now in period 6? How would you feel? How would you feel? That's pretty crappy. Can we agree? It's just like if all of a sudden the UN has decided that the white people of Europe have done terrible, horrible things to the Native Americans, which we have, yes, and they have decided to take back the entire state of Florida and just give it to the natives, Native Americans. We are getting told to leave our homes, leave where our children are living, where your children are probably going to live, and go somewhere else. How would that make you feel?
Pretty bad.
Pretty pissed, right? So now you have to make a decision. You can see both sides of the argument, I hope, yes? Which one do you agree with? That's your decision. Because that's the current situation that everybody has to deal with. Who is the right one? Is it the Israelis? The Israelis, I think we all agree, damn it, they deserve something, right? They've been harassed since they've been around. And then the Palestinians, they haven't done anything wrong. They didn't steal the land from the Jews originally, but yet their land has been stolen. So I think you can understand the tension on both sides. They literally bomb each other all the time, killing each other. And if Palestinians hate Israelis, Israelis hate Palestinians. They do terrible things to each other. They teach their kids terrible things about each other, and it's a really disastrous state. But this is like a problem that's right now, and there is no right answer. Who's the right one? Should there be a Palestinian, should there be an Israeli state, or should it go back to Palestine? The interesting thing is that Donald Trump is struggling with this. And he doesn't have a clear idea of what he wants. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, the thing is that the United States has always been a two-state system. When we say the words two-state system, that Israel and Palestine should exist together, Trump, on a podium in front of the world, said, I'm fine with the two-state system or the one-state system. It's whatever they want. Well, who's the largest protector of Israel? U.S. Who gave them nuclear weapons?
Us.
The United States. Guess what? Because of that, all of the other Arab countries that didn't want Israel to be created really, really, really hate the U.S. involvement in Israel because that's thrown off the entire dynamic of the Middle East. So when you think of countries like Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, and you think about why do they hate us so much, it's because of our involvement in Israel. Because we've shifted entire dynamics, we've changed everything in there, on top of the fact that they have frustration with the mandate system, which the United States was definitely involved in crafting, because who was our president? Wilson, and the mandate system falls under the 14 points. So when you think about how our world is shaped today, like this week is why our world is the way it is. So when we talk about, like, the Israeli Prime Minister was here 2 weeks ago, that comment I made, one state or two-state system, it's whatever they want, that is like a complete departure from where we are. But we can understand why someone would say that, right? However, there's millions of lives on the line. So which one is the right answer? Isabel?
Why do we give them nuclear weapons?
To defend themselves.
Oh.
Because
Why?
every country hates them. Every Arab country hates them.
Why not just give them like regular weapons? Why nuclear weapons?
Because everyone wanted them in the 1970s. In order to protect them, we thought that would be the best way. Which makes sense. If they have nuclear weapons, you're not really going to attack them. Does that make sense? So it was an easier way to keep our American troops off the ground instead of like standing there next to them.
But now if we support Palestine or anyone else, then they'll nuke us. They might.
No, I don't think Israel would turn around, and I don't think Israel, they need us too much. They need us too much. I really don't think most countries are willing to use them. I think it's just, like Pakistan has nuclear weapons because India has them. So they use it against each other to offset because they still hate each other. They still sabotage and attack each other and stuff like that. Not as bad as Israel and Palestine, but a big deal. So the things we're talking about this week are definitely things that impact the world today completely. Obviously, World War II impacts the world today, but this week is all about this world, which is pretty cool. So figure out which side you want, because it's a question that you'll have to kind of vote on once you hit 18. It's a question that'll come up at dinner parties. You know, not just at dorky history teachers' dinner parties. It's kind of like, you know, it'll come up.
That's how we apply AP World. That's what it's used for.
Yeah, dinner parties. So you know what people are talking about. All right, to the boards. Here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the Indian leader who wants the Pakistani state? What is the name of the Indian leader who wants the Pakistani state? Good, good. What is it, Alexandra?
Muhammad Ali
There you go. In 1917, the Jews drafted this as a desire for the creation of the state of Israel. It gets completely ignored until post World War II, and eventually the state will be created. But it's all cited based on what document? Come on, come on, come on, Maya. What is it, Sophia?
General. The Balfour Declaration.
Balfour Declaration. On your whiteboard, please tell me what year did the Indian Pakistani partition go up and the Israeli Palestinian partition go up? Good. I got 1, 2, 3. Good. What year is it, Aiden?
1947.
1947. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the gentleman who is going to lead a communist revolution in Vietnam. I like his name. I mean, he's a terrible human being. He did terrible things to his people. But it's a cool name. What is it, Adrian?
Ho Chi Minh.
Ho Chi Minh. Isn't it fun to say? Ho Chi Minh. Not as good as Wang Mang, but it's pretty good. On your whiteboard, please tell me who actually created the state of Palestine? Who actually carved up the state of Israel from Palestine? What body of water? Oh my God, I'm exhausted. Sophia.
The UN.
The UN. On your whiteboard, please tell me what officially, after World War I, what divided up the Arab nations amongst the victors of World War I? This system is now crumbling post-World War II because of nationalism. What is it, Maya?
Mandate system.
Mandate system. On your whiteboard, please tell me what year was the Israeli state officially created and declared by Jews around the world? Good. So, Emily.
1948.
1948. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the U.S. president during Vietnam? Good. What is it, Alexandra?
Lyndon Johnson.
Lyndon B. Johnson. On your whiteboard, what is the final straw for Muslims in India to officially all kind of unify along the belief that Muslims need their own state? What was the name of the incident that will cause the final straw in India? Good. I got 1. What is it, Jack?
Great calculated killing.
There you go. Now, the interesting thing about the creation of the State of Israel is so immediately, as soon as its doors opened in 1948, you're going to have a surge of Jews running to Israel in order to help populate it in order to defend the borders, correct? If you are an Israeli Jew, you are required by law to serve in the military. Okay, men and women have to serve. You're required to do a minimum of 4, I think. Most people stay in for 6. It's a military state to a degree in order to defend their borders because they're constantly at war. There's constantly attacks. Obviously, 2 years ago, we had massive bombings going on both sides. Palestinians were bombing Israelis. Israelis were bombing Palestinians. It's a big deal. However, since the original opening of Israel in 1948 officially, in the last year and a half, they've seen more Jews show up in Israel than second only to the 1948. Isn't that insane? Because of an increase of hate crimes and aggression towards Jews, that Jews from all over, especially France, are fleeing to Israel. Isn't that so tragic and so messed up? I don't understand. I don't understand. If you hear people saying things against the Jews, will you please be good people and stand up for them? Same thing for Muslims. Can we just be over religious wars? Can we just be done with it, for God's sake? Can we just stop beating up on the Jews? I mean, we shouldn't be beating up on anyone, but can we give these people a poor break? I mean, even here in the United States, we still have a rise in hate crimes against Jews. Our own Jewish recreation center down a little bit over has gotten 3 bomb threats in the last month. What the hell? So, I'm just completely dumbfounded. And all the Jewish cemeteries, have you heard about that? That someone has gone around and destroyed Jewish cemeteries? They've been knocking over headstones? And that a local Muslim mosque, thank you, raised over $75,000 in 3 days to fix the tombstones. And it happened a week and a half later in another city. Can we just collectively say we're done bullying Jews? Can we just be done? I mean, the Holocaust was pretty horrific. Can we just leave it alone? Can we leave Muslims alone? Okay, I'm getting off my soapbox, but God. Anyway. All right. Egypt should be your next heading, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Egypt is also going to want their own nationalism. Who is controlling? What colonial power is going to be controlling Egypt? What colonial power, Adrian? There's a movie about it called The Mummy. What accent do all those people have?
I don't know.
Ugh. You never seen The Mummy?
No.
Oh my God, it's like
That's
a
right.
terrible classic. It's like a terrible like movie classic. What is it, Maya? The British, huh?
Mummy's awesome.
You've got to.
And when's the last time you
When was the last time you saw it? Was a
What do you
good
got
question.
against Brendan Fraser?
Oh, I'm sorry. No one knows his name.
I do. He's a journey.
Is he
The one and only Brendan Fraser?
He was in the Looney Tunes movie.
Wow, you're citing some real classics here, ladies and gentlemen. You are building up that argument real well there. All right, greatest movie of all time. What movie? Oh my God. Oh my God. That was from like the 80s, man. Like, okay, that's a funny one. There's nothing wrong though. All right. So, Jamal Abdel Nasser is going to take leadership position in the Arab world. He is going to unify Arab countries in a way that we haven't really seen. He's going to take over Egypt from the British. He's also going to nationalize the Suez Canal. What does that mean when we say nationalize the Suez Canal, Max?
He gives it back to Egypt.
He takes it and gives it. Egypt is now in control of it. Why does that benefit Egypt, Max?
If you control the Suez Canal, you control world trade.
You control world trade, but what else do you get? Money. Lots and lots of money. Because every time a ship goes through, they have to pay a tariff. Okay, so this is going to give Egypt national prestige, of course. It's also going to make them not incredibly wealthy, but it's going to help them out financially significantly. It's going to happen in 1956, and this is a big deal because right now, what is the major conflict going on in the world? 1956, what's the big conflict in the world? What's the big conflict that's happening post-World War II, Alexandra? It's last week. Cold War. With Cold War is between what two sides, Alexandra? U.S. and Russia, also known as political ideologies. There you go. And who are they? Egypt is a bunch of what? They're Muslims. Does that fit into our little? Is their behavior going to be predictable?
No.
No, it's not. Because is it fitting into the rest of the argument here?
No.
They're not really great capitalists. They're kind of communistic, and they're Muslim more than anything else. Like, they're like diehard Muslims. They want to support other Muslim countries. So it's like a complete wild card. No one knows if they're going to just shut down the Suez Canal, if they're only going to allow the Russians through, if they're only going to allow the Americans through. It's a complete wild card. It kind of throws everything out. Huh? It would be kind of crazy. Like, they would just be like, they would literally stop worldwide trade.
They would get invaded so fast.
I would think they would. So maybe, but no one knew exactly what they were going to do. All right. I would write Africa is your next one. All right, so decolonization in Africa. So there's a lot of issues in Africa. The reason why the Africans couldn't unify is they have religious, tribal, language differences that stop them from getting together. So the French in North Africa, so I'd write Africa and I would write France underneath it as your first major heading. The French are going to give up Tunisia and Morocco pretty quickly. They're going to give them up. They don't really hold that much of a value. Spain has finally organized themselves. They're functioning at this point. So there's no point really opposing the Spanish at this time. So they are absolutely determined to hold on to Algeria. The French do not want to give up Algeria, so much so they're going to go to war. The reason is that it's been under French control for the longest. They have 2 million French citizens living there, and it's also their largest exporter of French goods. They're buying the most stuff from France. So financially, it's necessary. Nationalistically, it's necessary because there's a ton of Frenchies there. And its placement with a huge coastline on the Mediterranean Sea gives them a ton of benefit. So, they don't want to give up Algeria. Do you think Algerians want to be controlled by the French anymore? No. So, we are going to have the Algerian War of Liberation. They are going to be fought by a guerrilla warfare started by the Front de Liberation Nationale. Now, keep in mind, the French, they are, when they imperialize, they force the locals to speak their language and their culture. What do we call that?
Assimilation.
Assimilation, absolutely. So they are going to be fighting back starting in 1954. About 500,000 French soldiers are fighting in the war by 1958. Okay? And the war ends in 1962 with Algerian independence. Now, the Algerians are going to win on 2 reasons. Okay? The first reason is it's their homeland. It's easy to defend if you're living there, correct? Second reason is that the Algerians would rather die than allow the French to win. Do you think the French would really rather die than keep Algeria? No, if you're a French soldier, do you really care that much about Algeria that you're going to be willing to live your life? It's all or nothing. The Algerians either want independence or they want to be dead. There's no in-betweens, so they're going to do whatever it takes. It is going to be the end of their colonial rule in Africa. Okay? Now, do you think the French were really ready to fight by 1954?
No.
No. They were incredibly weak. They were still struggling. Obviously, they were still trying to figure out their country. So it kind of caught them off guard to a degree. So, it's a complete disaster for them. Alright, so they're going to have, from Africa, we're going to have this whole big movement called blackness. It is an influence of Black is Beautiful. It's going to start here in the United States and kind of spread forward. It's a revolt against white colonial values and reaffirmation of African civilizations. Keep in mind, the Africans have been completely destroyed for about 150 years at this point. Their culture, their politics, their economies have been completely destroyed by a bunch of white people coming in. And so at this point, they're going to try to reconnect with their African roots, as well as adopt some socialism and communistic impacts. This is going to have some geopolitical implications. Africa is going to reclaim itself and try to organize itself back up. Now, if your continent has been completely divided and stolen from for about 150 years, are you necessarily going to be prepared to run it smoothly? When the Europeans leave, does that mean we have strong, qualified people ready to lead it in every country? No, it's not. In a couple countries we will, but in most countries you're not. Okay? So, Ghana is going to have a bunch of things going on. They are the first sub-Saharan colony to achieve independence. Okay? In 1957 from England. They are your first. Ghana is going to be very friendly with Queen Elizabeth II. They're actually kind of buddies. This is 1961. This was Queen Elizabeth on her first tour of the world when she came into power. Pretty cool. Have you guys seen The Crown? Yeah? If you've watched the Netflix series The Crown, she goes to Ghana. It's a big deal. She's the first monarch, an imperializing country, to go into their now independent country and recognize. She goes in there with the utmost respect, and because of that, Ghana and England have a really positive relationship. Because of that, Ghana was like, we want independence, and there was a couple big scuffles, and Queen of England was like, all right, let's be done. Okay, so it kind of did break off pretty easily.
You need that later name.
No, you should be okay. Okay, so Kenya. Okay, Kenya is going to be fight back against the British as well. Now, Kenya is not going to be so peaceful. Ghana is peaceful. Kenya is not. In 1952, the state of emergency is declared for all the British. All British citizens were put on high alert because they started attacking all the British and collaborationists. Collaborationists are people who work with the British. Because of the threat directly to British citizens, Queen Elizabeth, her father, King George, is going to overreact, and he's going to send and order the killing of any African who's opposing British rule, and it's going to lead up to about 12,000. We can all agree the Africans should not have been killing the Europeans, correct? Hello? We can all agree that the Europeans shouldn't have killed 12,000 Africans in a span of 3 days. Can we agree to that? That is going to be a battle cry. That is going to be a battle cry for Africans to keep rebelling. Because of that, the English are going to completely withdraw in 1963. The Kenyans, just like the Algerians, say they will not settle unless for independence. And they'll keep fighting no matter what, so the British are like, God damn it. Now, it's important to know that Kenya and the British have a really great relationship now. The British have done a lot of things to try to fix that relationship, so much so that Prince William proposed to Kate in Kenya. Prince William says his favorite place in the whole wide world is Kenya. He spends actually a good amount of time there. Fun fact. I don't really know why I know that, though. I'm not going to lie. But I do. All right. Your dinner party talk? There you go. All right, to the boards real quick.
Do you know the 1952 state of emergency?
Huh?
1952 state of emergency.
What?
You guys know that's the state.
No. You just need to know that the British are going to send back overwhelming force. On your whiteboard, please tell me what country, what European country will be the imperial power over Ghana? What country? English country, Jack. Bryn, on your whiteboard, please tell me what imperializing power is going to be controlling Vietnam, lose their power. Good. What is it? Jack. France. Have a good day, guys. We got a lot done. Are you happy with that? We did get a lot done. All right. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend with your last focus and spice ever.